You know, I've already, Mike knows. That's why I was looking at him like, you should have ran up here, brother. Good morning, everyone. And thank God for us seeing another day. Yes. You know, we got 1,000 reasons. We can think of 1,000 reasons not to be here, but the reason that we should be here, we go right over it. So I thank God that He has given us another day to get it right. This is Women's History Month, and you know, I had read this previously, but then I wanted to share it with you all. You know, if you want to get a movement started, give it to women. That's a true statement. Women are the ones who've gotten all these movements started. It was women, and black women. You know, I know the brothers are hiding right now, like, no, that ain't true. Go back and do your history. It is true. This is Mary McLeod Bethune. Mary McLeod Bethune. She was born on, what? July the 10th, 1875, in Maysville, South Carolina. She was one of 17 children. Her parents and some of her older siblings had been enslaved before the Civil War. Mary spent much of her childhood balancing school and work in the cotton fields. In 1888, she earned a scholarship to Scotia Seminary in North Carolina. After graduation in 1893, she continued her studies with the goal of completing missionary work in Africa. However, most churches sent only white missionaries abroad, so Mary became a teacher instead. While teaching, Mary met fellow teacher Albertus Bethune. Mary and Albertus married in 1898 and had a son named Albert in 1899. Shortly after Albert's birth, the family moved to Daytona, Florida. Although the Ku Klux Klan had a chapter in Daytona, many black families moved to the area in search of jobs. Mary saw an opportunity in this growing community. She knew that education was one of the few ways black citizens, especially black women, could break the cycle of poverty and dependence on racist systems when they were still denied voting rights and economic opportunities. There are very few schools for black girls in this area, so Mary founded one. On October the 3rd, 1904, Mary opened the Daytona Normal and Industrial Institute with only 5 students. The school focused on practical, employable skills, including domestic science, sewing, agriculture, and teaching. Within 2 years, she had 250 students, many of whom lived in the school's dormitories. In 1907, Albertus left Mary. I don't know why they put that in there, but yeah, you know. Although they would officially stay married until his death in 1918, Mary raised their son and managed her growing school alone. Mary did not allow personal challenges to jeopardize her school. She worked tirelessly to keep the school running. Many of the school's supplies were donated secondhand or picked up by Mary at the local landfill. Mary had so little money that she wore secondhand clothing secondhand clothing mended by her students in her sewing class. Her hard work attracted the attention of both white and black philanthropists who vacationed in Florida. The school's board soon counted many of the nation's most famous businessmen as members, including John D. Rockefeller, Jr. In later years, black millionaire and businesswoman Madam C.J. Walker was a donor. The school adapted to the community's changing needs. Mary added a high school and vocational programs. In 1911, she realized that none of the local hospitals served black patients. In response, she added a nursing program so that the school could open its own hospital. By 1923, black education was changing. With more public schools opening, Mary shifted her focus to helping young women after high school. She merged her school with the older Cookman Institute for Men in Jacksonville. The new old school was named Cookman Bethune College. Mary served as the president of the school from its foundation until 1942. By 1941, the school was a four-year college on a 32-acre campus with 14 buildings and 600 students. Mary saw education as one way to fight against racism in the United States. Mary was active in anti-lynching and desegregation campaigns. In 1924, she was elected president of the National Association of Colored Women. In 1935, she founded the National Council of Negro Women, for which she served as president from 1935 to 1949. She was also vice president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People from 1940 to 1955. People in government noticed Mary. She participated in special commissions under Presidents Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover. Through this work, she first met First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor and Mary believed it was possible to improve the status of women and people of color in America. Eleanor encouraged her husband, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to give Mary a leadership role in the New Deal. In 1934, Mary became director of the Division of Negro Affairs for the National Youth Administration, NYA, and with it, the highest ranking black woman in the federal government to date. Mary fought for integrated state advisory boards, better skills training for youth, and more black staff and managers in the NYA. The NYA was the first federal agency to aid black youth through educational and vocational training projects. Mary was also a part of a small group that advised President Roosevelt on policies relating to black citizens. This group was known as FDR's Black Cabinet. Through the NYA, Mary helped launch the Civilian Pilot Training Program at 6 historically black colleges, including Tuskegee University, where the famous Tuskegee Airmen would graduate their first class of pilots in 1940. As early as 1939, Bethune had been advising FDR that providing training for black pilots for the Air Corps would gain tremendous goodwill with black people. In 1941, Eleanor expressed her support with a well-publicized visit to Tuskegee Airfield, where she took an hour-long flight with pioneering black aviator Charles Anderson. Mary's relationship with the Roosevelts was so close that Eleanor gave Mary one of her husband's canes after his death. Mary enjoyed collecting canes and often walked with one, although she had no physical need for it. She believed carrying a cane gave her a swank. Yeah, and earned her respect. We call it swag now. Yeah, it got that swag. Mary retired to Florida in the late 1940s. Shortly before her death, she wrote her last will and testament, which outlined her philosophy. In it, she emphasized the importance of love, hope, education, racial dignity, and support for future generations. Mary died on May 18, 1955, of a heart attack. In 1974, a monument in her honor was unveiled to a crowd of 18,000 people. It was the first statue on public land in Washington, D.C. to honor a black woman. It includes a depiction of Mary handing her legacy to future generations. Yeah, and this lady struck me. I first learned of her when I was reading another book, and the thing about it is, if it wasn't for this woman, you wouldn't have had Tuskegee Airmen. So that was pretty good. Thank y'all.